If you're new to Deception Bytes, hit the like and subscribe button and be sure to hit the bell to be notified of future videos. If you wish to support the channel, the links are in the description below. Now, fasten your seatbelt. Here we go.
Okay, hey everybody, I hope everyone is doing well. It is Sunday, February the 17th. I took last night off, so we're going to have to go backwards before we can go forward. Now, Q has been posting like a maniac the last couple days. We've got posts aplenty. So I'm going to go back and do the 16th, yesterday, Saturday, and we're going to get that out of the way first, and then I'm going to go on to today's post. Now, hopefully I can do the 16th in one video. I'm not sure. The 17th, I can tell you right now, that's going to take two videos. So, like I said, Q has just been posting like crazy, which is great because we haven't heard from him in so long, and now I guess he's making up for lost time. Anyway, let's get right into it. I don't want to waste time today because I don't want these videos to go on and on and on forever. So let's get right into it. This is the first one from yesterday, February the 16th. And Q is posting this, and I've got a bigger picture of the graphic for you guys that are on your phones. Oh, maybe I don't. I guess I didn't. Usually I try to include that, but maybe I thought this was big enough. So let's get this bigger here so we can see it. And we've seen this post before. Q is just reminding us of it. His former post from March 23rd, 2018, he said, clock activated, red castle, green castle, stage 5-5. And we know that 5-5 means loud and clear. We've learned that over the course of Q posting. And he signs it, as he always does, Q. And here is a picture of the Army Corps of Engineers, their logo, and another picture of their logo here. And indeed, it is a red castle. That is the logo for the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, and they are located in Greencastle, Indiana. That's where we get Red Castle, Green Castle. Now, we all know that. I'm just reiterating that for maybe some new people that have come along, because there are a whole lot of people waking up to Q. So I don't want to assume that you've all been with me for a long time, because I know that that's not always the case. So that is why, sometimes I go over things that I know that most of you already know, but it's for the benefit of those that have come on in later months, because let me tell you, I really believe that even right now, people are waking up like never before. So, and part of that is because of the actions of the Democrats themselves. People are starting to wake up and go, what? People that have always voted Democrat are suddenly saying, I'm not, no more. So, underneath that, he has a Twitter status, which we're going to look at in a minute. And he says, Army Chief of Engineers, all future construction. How long have Anons known? About a year. Fake news attacking us daily. Oh yeah. Democrats are predictable. Stupid. Nothing to see here. Q. Now, let's look at this. This is the link. I've just cut it out to save us a little bit of time here. And it's Dan Scavino Jr. And he says, after declaring a national emergency, President Donald Trump is briefed by U.S. Army Chief of Engineers, Commanding General, is that LTG, is that Lieutenant? Let me know in the comments below. But what happens is, if I ask a question, I end up getting like 200 responses. So if you see that others have responded, don't bother. But if you know what LTG is short for, let me know. Todd T. Semonite on the status to date of the border wall and all future construction to begin along the southern border. So here he is, consulting with the Army Chief of Engineers, because it is going to be the Army Corps of Engineers that build the wall. We've known that for a year, but I think we've all got caught up in the drama of, oh my gosh, we got to get this wall built, and what's happening, and why is it being held up? And, we've gotten all, even though we were assured a year ago that this would happen. And indeed, it has. All right. So let's go on to the next post. from the 16th, and it's this. And unfortunately, this guy, Carpe Donctum, he's really good with memes and videos and things like that. And his Twitter feed has a lot of them. And Q is directing us to this person's Twitter. However, the actual video meme that he's directing us to has music that's copyrighted, so I can't link to it. But, well, I can't play it, but I can link to it. So in the description, there will be a link to Carpe Donctum's Twitter, and it's definitely worth checking out. Absolutely. It will give you a smile, if nothing else. And you know what? With everything going on, we need to smile. All right. Well, let's go on. Okay, now this is a big one. And I've got to make sure that this is 2740. I don't want to, sometimes it's hard to tell if it's, yeah, okay. Sometimes it's hard to tell whether one post should be broken up or not, and especially after I transferred over. So I was just making sure because I don't want to give false information. We're on to the next post, and this is it. Okay. Now, it starts by Q referencing an anon who clipped out Devin Nunes' Twitter feed and says, which says, didn't the Russians meet with Dem Clinton operatives before and after the meeting? New evidence refutes Adam Schiff's theory about Trump Tower meeting. Well, that's not surprising, is it? You know, I think if Adam Schiff's mouth's open, he's lying. So that shouldn't surprise any of us. But let's go take a look at what Devin Nunes is directing us to. Because Q is directing us to Devin Nunes is directing us here to the Daily Caller. So I would assume that this is important, and indeed it is. New evidence refutes Adam Schiff's theory about Trump Tower meeting. And I'm not sure why, because I've got the fastest internet and my computer really isn't that slow, but sometimes my internet, I don't know if it just has a hiccup or a glitch or whatever, but it just slows down miserably. Anyway, the Senate Intelligence Committee obtained phone records showing Donald Trump Jr. did not speak with his father from a blocked telephone number in the days before the infamous Trump Tower meeting in June 2016. The finding, first reported by CNN, undercuts Democrats' theory that Trump Jr. might have told his father in those phone calls about the Trump Tower meeting, which was held June 9th, 2016, with a group of Russians who had offered dirt on Hillary Clinton. And of course, we know now that was all a setup, and Donald Jr. did absolutely nothing wrong. There was no collusion. There hasn't been any collusion, not on the part of the Trump administration. Anyway, there's most certainly collusion on, you know, in the Democrat camp by Hillary, Obama. I mean, a number of people. So let's go on here. Democrats, led by California Rep. Adam Schiff, long theorized the phone calls were between father and son and that they could have discussed the meeting. And personally, I think that they've known all along that what they are accusing Donald Jr. of doing is a bunch of bunkum. But, you know, they keep clinging to this because these people realize how deep of crap they are truly in. And yeah, you know, it's like that cornered animal thing. We want to get the phone records to determine, was Donald Trump talking to his son about this meeting, Schiff told CNN in November. Well, now they found out he wasn't. It's an obvious investigative step, but one the Republicans are unwilling to take because they were afraid of where the evidence might lead. That's not true. Phone records provided to the Senate Intelligence Panel showed the calls were between Trump Jr. and two business associates, according to CNN. The calls were made in the days before the Trump Tower meeting. Another call occurred several hours after the meeting. The identity of the business associates is not clear. Investigators with both the the special counsel's office and in Congress have been interested in the Trump Tower meeting because Trump Jr. accepted it after being told a Russian attorney wanted to provide information about Hillary Clinton. The lawyer, Natalia Veselnitska, showed up to the meeting with several Russian associates, including a Russian-American lobbyist named Renat, and I apologize, I can't pronounce that last name. Russian names are notoriously difficult to pronounce. Okay, Veselnitska and Akhmetshin also happened to be working during the same period with Fusion GPS, the opposition research firm that commissioned the Steele dossier. They have claimed that Trump Tower meeting had nothing to do with their work with Fusion GPS. Bullcrap. Also, remember, the creepy porn lawyer. Sometimes I forget his name, but I always remember everybody calls him the creepy porn lawyer, Avenatti. Remember him saying, "Oh, Donald Jr. is going to be in jail. Yeah, he'll be in prison." Yeah, well, nice try, Avenatti. Yeah, it's funny how tables turn, isn't it? Because look at where he is now compared to Donald Jr. Yeah, the truth comes out. It comes out. Jared Kushner and Trump campaign chairman Paul Manafort also attended the meeting, but all parties involved have said the meeting was a waste of time. They've said Veselnitska merely used the meeting to discuss the Maginski Act, a U.S. sanctions law against Russia that is opposed by the Kremlin. Veselnitska provided a 4-page memo that made only small reference to Hillary Clinton. Democrats have suggested Trump Jr. lied to Congress and that Trump himself has lied publicly about whether Trump knew about the meeting before it happened. Trump has claimed he learned about it only when the press started inquiring about it in 2017, more than a year after the meeting took place. Ironically, given CNN's role in breaking the news story, the network has been behind other reporting about Trump Jr. and his Trump Tower conversations that have turned out to be false. Oh, well, no surprise there, is there? I mean, most of what CNN reports is false. What they do is they place that little bit of truth in there to make it go down easier, because you're not as apt to buy a lie when everything in it is a lie, but if you put just enough truth to make it palatable, people will swallow the lie. That's just a fact. CNN reported in July 2018, former Trump attorney Michael Cohen was involved in conversation in which Trump Jr. told his father that the meeting with Russians was going to take place. But on August 22nd, 2018, Cohen advisor Lanny Davis acknowledged he was a source for the CNN article and that he was mistaken. He said Cohen did not know whether Trump Jr. told Trump about the meeting. CNN also retracted a story December 8th, 2017 that falsely claimed Trump Jr. had received an email September 4th, 2016 that included a link to WikiLeaks email that had yet to be made public. It turned out the email was actually dated September 14th, 2016, a day after WikiLeaks had posted the emails. A person who Trump Jr. did not know sent him the email with a link to information that had already been made public. Excuse me. Just let me get a drink here. I don't know what it is, but as soon as I start talking, I want to cough, and I think a lot of it has to do with the dry air. Canadian air in the wintertime is notoriously dry, plus I've got electric heat, which doesn't help. All right. So, interesting, isn't it, that he is now being vindicated, which, if we had more trust, we would just have followed Q and known all along that this was, and of course we surmised that it was false, but until it actually happens and he's vindicated, there's always that little bit in your mind thinking, are they going to get away with this? We knew it wasn't true, but some of us wondered, including myself, are they going to get away with this? They seem to have been getting away with a lot. All right, let's go back and go on. So, that's that part of the post, and we're going to come down to the next part of the post. And of course, this is very difficult to read, and I believe I've got a link to a larger graphic here. Okay, I pasted the larger graphic in here. So this is the next thing that Q included, and it's a post of his from August 31st, 2018. And it said special approval, and says setup, example 1, Loretta Lynch, paper trail, special entry, Natalia Veselnitska, Manafort, FISA warrant issued, approved, Manafort, Mueller, Manafort, FISA warrant issued, approved, Papadopoulos. And now what they did with Natalia is they brought her in specifically to set up Trump, and the whole meeting with the Trump Tower, that was all a setup. And she was brought into the country specifically for that purpose. And so Loretta Lynch was responsible for getting her in the country. She has the paper trail that Natalia was allowed in by special entry, and a FISA warrant was issued and approved for Manafort. And Mueller started investigating Manafort. A FISA issue was issued and approved for Papadopoulos. I love that name, Papadopoulos. I hate it when I come across the name because I have this compunction. Is that even a word? It should be if it's not. To say it, Papadopoulos. Mueller started investigating Papadopoulos. That's right, Papadopoulos. FISA warrant issued and approved for Page. That's Carter Page. As opposed to Papadopoulos. And Mueller started investigating Page. A FISA warrant issued and approved for Flynn, and Mueller started investigating Flynn. You must target, remove, and silence all those illegally targeted for FISA surveillance, plus UK surveillance. They assisted, they provided information through Five Eyes. UK assist plus FISA surveillance included all upstream collection. What's upstream collection? Well, if I am the target of the FISA warrant and I talk to a good friend of mine, well, they are also now they are now under surveillance as well. And if that friend talks to another friend, yeah, it just keeps going. So, tangent contacts, umbrella surveillance, and that's what they call, because once you have that FISA warrant for one person, it's not just that one person that gets surveilled. It's whoever that person talks to, and then whoever that person's friend talks to, and whatever. All right. So foreign target designators create leapfrog hops to isolate real targets. Non-F communications, I can't think what that is right now. Section 702, and this is just explaining how the whole umbrella surveillance works. P talks to X, X talks to Y, Y talks to Z, PXYZ equals bulk data collection, umbrella. UK assist allows for normal FISA law deconstruct. Deconstruct includes D2 spy insert. Deconstruct includes non-FISA warrant, special ops, warrant, special ops, classified, public, Q. So we already looked at this in detail back in August, but Q has included it again in this post. So I think that it's necessary for us to read it over again, which we just did. And underneath, Q says the following: you have more than you know. Why did Loretta Lynch, Attorney General of the United States, grant special entry to Natalia Veselnitska? Don Jr. setup meeting. That's why she was granted special entry, because they had a special job for her to do. And what was her job? To set up Don Jr. Now, why was Natalia barred from entering prior to? If you have no real evidence of Russian collusion, you must attempt to manufacture. Q, right? That makes perfect sense. They had no evidence, right? They had absolutely no evidence of Russian collusion, but they had decided that that is the narrative that we want to go along with. That's possibly a narrative that the American people would fall for. And, Russia is an enemy. So if we think, if we say that he's colluding with Russia, I think most people will buy it and be alarmed. So that is why. But they didn't have any evidence of it. So they had to go about manufacturing it through the Steele dossier, through, setting people up. That's what they did. Unconscionable. But I think we've seen enough of them by now to know that they are pretty unconscionable. In fact, I swear that some of them are certainly antisocial. They have absolutely no sense of right and wrong or a sense of conscience at all. And I firmly believe that. They're sociopaths. Some of them are. Okay, well, let's go up to the next one. And I like this. This is, let's go up to where it begins here. And Q gives us a reference to a Twitter account by 333 RD Revolution. And on his Twitter, and I just went over just to save us a little bit of time and clipped it for us. And it says, another one in Jersey City, New Jersey, where we go one, we go all. New Jersey, QAnon, New Jersey, build the wall, and Q Army hashtags. And look at this, looks like a bus stop, Jersey City, where we go one, we go all. Pretty awesome. Pretty awesome. We're seeing Qs everywhere, like not just in the States, but, really even in Canada, there's, we're finding Qs, and certainly other countries as well. So I think Q is a worldwide phenomenon, no question. Now, let's go up to the next one. And the next one, wait a minute here. I want to make sure that I caught all this. Yeah, I didn't read this part. Bigger than you realize, Q says. Purpose of fake news attacks, slow growth / reach, Q. So, yeah, this has a global reach, really. And it really is a worldwide phenomenon. Well, they don't want this to get out. They don't want it to grow. So they think that if they can keep false narratives in the fake news, that they can slow the growth or the reach of it. So not working. And I think, honestly, they overplay their hand, because the more they attack Q as a conspiracy and so forth, the more people think, gee, you know what? I'm going to check this out for myself, because I'm hearing all about this, and that's what's happening. People are curious. Okay, so here is the next one, and it has a Twitter link to this right here, and I've clipped it out for us, and this is by Sensei Common, and they have another, and this is the Scottish Parliament, and there is a big Q on the door. Now, of course, we don't condone, and I'm sure Q would never condone, and I know President Trump would never condone, property damage. And this certainly looks like property damage, because they have painted a Q on the door, but it's fascinating nonetheless, because again, it shows the outreach. Now, and says similar to below. Now, this YouTube goes to, I don't know, some of you may have seen this movie, V for Vendetta. It was a very, very popular movie. I have not, I know, believe it or not, I have not seen it, but I need to. This particular YouTube they have clipped it out of the movie, the speech, the V for Vendetta speech. Now, I can't go to it because it's got music behind it, and I don't know if it's copyrighted, and I don't know if I'm able to play a clip from a movie, because, well, YouTube is getting very, very, very strict. And, well, you know. So this is what I'm doing what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this YouTube again in the description, the video description, along with the other one that links to the meme. And that way that you will have it and be able to watch it. However, I am going to link to the text version of the speech, which probably will make more sense to us anyway if we haven't seen the movie. All right. So this is what Q wants us to see, wants us to hear, wants us to know. Now, we're not getting it, right out of the movie, but we've got the text of it. All right. Now, good evening, London. Allow me first to apologize for this interruption. I do, like many of you, appreciate the comforts of everyday routine, the security of the familiar, the tranquility of repetition. I enjoy them as much as any bloke, but in the spirit of commemoration, thereby those important events of the past usually associated with someone's death or the end of some awful bloody struggle, a celebration of a nice holiday, I thought we would mark this November the 5th, a day that is sadly no longer remembered, by taking some time out of our daily lives to sit down and have a little chat. There are, of course, those who do not want us to speak. I suspect even now orders are being shouted into telephones, and men with guns will soon be on their way. Why? Because while the truncheon may be used in lieu of conversation, words will always retain their power. Words offer the means to meaning, and for those who will listen, the enunciation of truth. And the truth is, there is something terribly wrong with this country, isn't there? Cruelty and injustice, intolerance and oppression, and where once you had the freedom to object, to think and speak as you saw fit, you now have censors and systems of surveillance coercing your conformity and soliciting your submission. How did this happen? Who's to blame? Well, certainly there are those more responsible than others, and they will be held accountable. But again, truth be told, if you're looking for the guilty, you need only look into the mirror. I know why you did it. I know you were afraid. Who wouldn't be? War, terror, disease. There was a myriad of problems which conspired to corrupt your reason and rob you of your common sense. Fear got the best of you, and in your panic you turned to the now High Chancellor, Adam Sutler. He promised you order. He promised you peace, and all he demanded in return was your silent, obedient consent. Last night I sought to end that silence. Last night I destroyed the Old Bailey to remind this country of what it has forgotten. More than 400 years ago, a great citizen wished to embed the 5th of November forever in our memory. His hope was to remind the world that fairness, justice, and freedom are more than words, they are perspectives. So if you've seen nothing, if the crimes of this government remain unknown to you, then I would suggest you allow the 5th of November to pass unmarked. But if you see what I see, if you feel as I feel, and if you would seek as I seek, then I ask you to stand beside me 1 year from tonight outside the gates of Parliament, and together we shall give them a 5th of November that shall never, ever be forgot. Pretty wild, and really this is why I want to see that movie, because it just seems like it's so applicable to what is happening, right now with the Great Awakening. Now, I can't be sure because I haven't seen the movie, but let me tell you, within the next few days, I'm going to see this movie and draw some comparisons. But that is very well written, and yeah, I think I definitely need to see that movie. All right, let's go back. Now, we're going to move on to the next. And it's here. And Q links to a Breitbart article. And he says, how do you know when the media is biased and pushing a knowingly false, fake narrative? Disinformation campaign designed to buy them more time by attempting to con enough people in order to remove the duly elected POTUS in order to save themselves from prosecution. Enemy of the people. Q. And that's exactly what we are facing. They've engaged in a disinformation campaign designed to buy them time until they can remove POTUS. And they need to remove POTUS to save themselves. So let's go take a look at this article. All right. Nolte, networks refuse to cover Senate's No Russia Collusion report. Now, how irresponsible is that? And it's bad journalism. Because if you print something and then you find out it was false, it would be in the best interest of all involved, especially the journalist's career, if they retract that, offer a retraction, or at least publish the information to the contrary, which they refuse to do because it goes against the narrative that they want everyone to believe, which they want people to believe that there was Russian collusion. So now that they've found no evidence of Russian collusion, they won't report that. Unbelievable. And yet, so believable. The same networks that spent 2,202 minutes of collective airtime to push the Russia collusion media hoax are refusing to cover the Senate Intelligence Committee bipartisan report, which found no collusion between the Trump campaign and Russia. This should be front page news. This should be all we hear. It should be everywhere. It should be in every newspaper. It should be every time we look on the computer news, anything. It should be everywhere. It's not. Odd. The Media Research Center did the research and found that between January 21st, 2017 and February 10th, 2019, ABC World News Tonight and the CBS Evening News and the NBC Nightly News spent 2,202 minutes on the Russia investigation, which accounted for nearly 19% of all Trump-related reporting. And now, none of those three shows have even mentioned the investigation since NBC's report came out on February 12th. The same is true elsewhere on the left-wing networks. It's because they're all controlled by the Democrats. Neither CBS This Morning nor NBC's Today have even acknowledged this new information from Senate investigators since the news broke on February 12th. MRC reports ABC's Good Morning America briefly touched on it in a news brief totaling less than 1 minute on February 13th. What's especially fascinating is that NBC's Ken Dilanian broke the original news of the Senate report, and NBC is still refusing to cover the story. The reason for this is quite obvious. The media know a reckoning is on the horizon, and they are buying time in the hopes of finding a way to wiggle out of it. Anyone with even a lick of sense knew from the beginning that the Russia collusion media hoax was a hoax. Not only is the whole idea of it preposterous, everything involving Russia and the Trump campaign points to the opposite of a conspiracy. Look at the Trump Tower meeting. If there was a conspiracy between Trump and the Kremlin, why was Rob Goldstone, a British publicist, needed as an intermediary to set up the meeting? If there was all this collusion between Trump and Putin, why was Michael Cohen left to send proposals to blind email addresses regarding the proposed Trump Tower deal in Moscow? Even the stuff we are told is almost sinister proof of collusion points in the opposite direction. But that is not what the media have been telling us for the past 2 years. Of course not. Rather, again and again and again, they have promised that Watergate is right around the corner, that the other shoe is about to drop, and please ignore the fact that the first shoe has yet to drop. Have told us not to worry because the aberrational nightmare, the virus in the system, the national mistake that is President Trump, is about to be removed. For 2 years, the media have been selling the resistance a bill of goods and have gone so far as to manufacture a mountain of fake news to keep these suckers on the hook. So, no, they are not going to cover a bipartisan report that debunks their hoax, especially one as detailed as this one that involves 2 years, 200 interviews, and a gazillion documents. The thinking goes, Mueller might still save us. don't think so, but you keep hoping. Keep hoping. I think your goose is cooked, personally, speaking to the mainstream media. All right, let's go back. Okay, and they are desperate to keep the false narrative alive of Russian collusion to buy enough time to have the president impeached. However, this will never happen because they would need 3/4 of the Senate to vote yes, and they're not. So all of this fantasizing about having the president impeached is just that, fantasy. It will not happen. All right. But they need to keep believing, don't they? They have to cling to some hope, I suppose. All right, and let's go on. And the next one is this. And Q says, quoting from Scripture, "But the Lord is faithful, and he will strengthen you and protect you from the evil one." That is 2 Thessalonians 3:3. God is our refuge and strength, an ever-present help in trouble. That is Psalm 46:1. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from the evil one. That's Matthew 6:13. Q. Now, I did clip this comment out, and it is by Extrovert Covert. This Q drop is meant to be read by each individual that comes upon it. When the verse numbers are totaled, they equal 55.17. If you've been watching Q drops, or anytime you know the significance of 5 and the number, okay, what is he saying? When the verse numbers are totaled, they equal 55 and 17. If you've been watching Q drops, you know the significance of 5 and the number 17. Now, did Q mean that? I don't know. I would assume that yes, because again, Q tells us there are no coincidences. So if we believe that, and I suppose we must if we are following Q, then probably not a coincidence. But, and this may not be even meant for anons, or it could be meant for anons and for perhaps some people that are out in the field doing jobs that are very dangerous and they need that comfort. We don't know who Q is talking to there, but a nice post. All right, now let's go up to this next one right here. Okay. Okay, actually, we are on to the 17th now. Yay! I did do it in one. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop there because that is the last one from yesterday, the 16th, and I'm going to pick right up with the 17th, and we're going to start on that. It may take me 2 videos, but I will try my best to get it done in one, and I will see you back, and thank you for listening. Thank you. I appreciate you guys. I really do. And make sure you leave comments below because I get a kick out of them, and I'm sure other people do. And I actually learn a lot as well from them. So thanks so much, and I will talk to you guys. Stay safe, stay blessed, and I'll talk to you real soon.